Where have we gotten to in a world where people are hesitant to approach God because of what they've done?
Yeah, 100%.
My brother, the whole thing is based on that. That's the beauty of the gospel.
The opening of this book is from the darkest place in my life. April 27th, 2020 was a moment specifically where I wrote in my journal, I don't know if I can do this any longer. I don't know if I want to go forward.
If you're listening and you're trying to juggle life, marriage, what he says next might matter.
Imagine you with confidence that is untouchable. What would the you do if you woke up knowing?
Is if you digest that message correctly, it's going to be hard for you to stay in the shadow of shame or in the prison of potential. My favorite episode. Lights On is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's okay to struggle. Real strength comes from opening up about what you're carrying and doing something about it so you can be at your best for yourself and for the people in your life that you love. Therapy is not just about trauma. It's about learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries in your life that create new freedom. With over 35,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people. And it works too, with an App Store rating of 4.9 based on over 1.7 million client reviews. And it's convenient. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, you can switch therapy and therapists at any time. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a variety of expertise. So talk it out with BetterHelp. So our listeners get 10% off of their first month at BetterHelp.com/lightson. That's BetterHelp.com/lightson. My brother.
What is that?
It's good to have you.
Hello.
It's so much fun. You are the first repeat.
I know.
Lights
Crazy
On guest.
You said that. It's very, very honored and excited to be here.
I asked you to do this because of this epic book coming out. And if you're watching this, as I just said previously, want you to get this book. I think that I'm hesitant to say stuff like that because a lot of books are garbage, especially when your friends write them. It's like, I'm stuck.
Thanks,
sure,
buddy.
But I dedicated myself on this part of the journey, to just lean all the way into stuff that I know helps.
Yeah.
And so to know your life, to know your journey, and this book is special. When you preached the sermon, God Chose Me.
Yeah.
It was a sermon, but it hit like a movement. I've been a part of stuff like that. I remember I preached stuff in my life where I'm like, that's more.
Yeah.
That's more than, not that anything's less than, but there's like, there's something in this. Why do you think this resonated with so many people?
Yeah. It was a beautiful thing to experience. I think similar to what you just said, I saw it happen in the moment and I'd never experienced it in that way. And when I think about it, I think it's the honest truth of the human experience. Me, you, everyone is at some point searching for validation, for someone to accept them, for someone to own who they are. And I think the recognition that God actually chose you and any space that you could get affirmation, confidence, to register that like, I've been looking for all these other people to do it, and to realize like, hey, you don't need none of that. Like, the person who created you is here and he affirms you and that's all you need. I think it struck a genuine chord in people that of like, oh, dang, I've been looking for someone to accept me, to empower me, to affirm just where I am. And so I think, I saw that happen in the moment, and it's been beautiful to see that. Yeah.
When you carve out a thought for all the writers, and when you think about what you're doing in your life, when you have an idea, when you have a statement, how do you get it to people? Like, as you listen to Charles, perhaps think about that frame because he's an expert at it. But when you were carving this out, I was there for a little bit of it.
Yeah.
How do you know what ideas you're like, I'm going to sit on this one and I'm going to, because sometimes you could see people running with an idea. You're like, it's probably not a great idea. Bail out. And that's part of the journey.
Yeah,
I think, but that's 100%. Like, I mean, when you land on something that resonates, like how do you carve out thoughts? Like, and forget about preaching, non-preaching, like because we are not our thoughts.
Yeah.
And I'm a thought guy.
Yes.
And we are not our thoughts. And some thoughts you get there, they could be heaven sent.
Yeah.
And they could produce earthly good.
Yeah.
What's your process like with that?
Yeah. I think you said it, but you were a part of helping me get there to that one. I think the biggest thing that resonates with me is it was real and raw and impacted me in the moment as I started to think on it. So I think one tell for me as I'm thinking about what I'm going to say or what has power is seeing the shift that happens in my posture and my ideas and my mindset. And so the moments before when I felt like, okay, even before I walked up and preached the message, I said like, hey, God chose you. You got, and just where that put me and the posture it put me in, it let me realize like, oh, I think this is gonna help people, because I saw it resonating in my spirit, changing my posture. One thing I talk about in the book is how quick you can get to your bag. And you know this, like we play ball together, but guys who like all they're trying to do is get to their spot. And I think there are certain phrases and certain things that get you to your bag. And I think for me, God chose me. It got me to the point of like, no, trust the Spirit inside of you. He's with you. And so once I started to experience that, it was like okay, I think this is going to be a thing.
Yeah. It leads me to an interesting thought, and you consider this like, how deep is your bag? And if you're not a hooper, you could still work with this word picture. If you're a Kyrie Irving, you take a guy like that. His bag is so extensive where it doesn't matter what defense you play. He's going to go to a different. He's got so much in there. As humans, sometimes our bag is limited. Where it's like, I got one play. I'm going to have a great day. The moment something goes wrong, you're like, everything. How deep is your reservoir of esteem, confidence, love, compassion? Something to think about. God chose me should be a part of something like that. And here's an interesting angle, and I can't wait to see this thing fly. And you're not going to talk to a lot of people that are going to host you as you talk about this, that know it and you so well. But we were kicking around this thought. I don't care if you're a Christian or not a Christian. It's a thought that demands to be thought about. And, you know, whether your relationship with God is flourishing or not as you hear this, it's God chose me is one of those things where it can almost seem arrogant, where people are like, I feel hesitant to say that. You're not as hesitant to say the bad things about you. It's so funny out there. But you try to challenge, like, do you believe that God's chosen you? I don't want to say it like that. Can you speak to that for a little bit about the tension between how to, because it is just a true fact. And we live in a world that is so conditioned to push people down. That if you see somebody with a little bit of confidence, like this arrogant guy, he thinks his life's going to go well. Who do you think you are?
Well, I think I want to use one of the classic questions you use on me all the time, which was, why would that be? Why is the notion that the God of the universe is with me and he wants me to do exactly what he created me to do? Why to lean in that? Why is that offensive? Why does that feel like we shouldn't be doing that? And then I think in there is a beautiful space to explore of how we define confidence, what we've seen of confidence. Many of us are, because we don't have a good reference for it, all we know is cocky, or all we know is arrogance, or all we know is what we would do if we were them. So we assume of the individual rather than ourselves. And so for me, I think the real part of this message is it starts with a place of reverence. So God chose me is a statement of confidence, but it's also a statement of reverence. It's a statement of
beautiful.
He could have chose anybody. So on one hand, I'm aware that he didn't choose anybody else, but I'm also aware he could have chosen anybody else. And so I daily hold that tension of, I am confident he chose me, but I'm also self-aware enough to know my weaknesses and to know I'm one step away from having to come back and reconcile that. And so I think that's the beauty of it. But I think my experience has been people far more find themselves in the space of doubting who they are, of feeling insecure, than running around rampant with courage and confidence. I think we throw around the word about people being arrogant, or narcissist is now a trigger word in culture, but it's like, that's not the experience I've had. People far more struggle with, am I good enough? Do I have it? And that's exactly what this book is a source of, you do, because God chose you and he's with you.
It makes you think. There's a responsibility side. I always used to say, and I've carried both ends of this, where it's like, be careful when you say you're a Christian because of what you say you represent. And feeling the weight of understanding a season where it's fair to say the representation that person gave didn't shine a good light. Well, God chose me is in that neighborhood of like, if you have a great Monday, God chose me.
Yeah.
Well, remember you said that. Because when you're doing all that stuff that you say you don't want to do, God still chose you. Lights On is partnering with plana.org. It's a phenomenal organization that is built to empower women who have faced with all kinds of unexpected circumstances, especially when it comes to pregnancy. And they offer support, they offer tools, they offer community. And if you wanted to know how can I immediately help somebody who really needs it, check out plana.org today. We love them, you will too. And you can make a difference in the life of somebody today just by checking them out. Plana.org. We love y'all.
Yeah.
So it almost makes you, it's one of those things like when you become a dad.
Yeah.
When you become a dad, some of your options go out the window.
100%.
Because I'm a dad.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that with this phrase. Like God chose me.
100%. A beautiful thing you said about being a dad. This is a recent experience of mine. Arlo has slowly, anytime I pull out my phone, he walks around the corner and sees, he's like, what are you looking at, Dad? What are you doing? And within the last month, it's been this beautiful whoa, I'm raising it. And there's never been anything that was there, but I've registered because I'm like, what are you doing, bud? I'll just notice him kind of right when I pull out my phone. He'll walk behind me and stand.
You told him.
And it was
people who have nothing to hide nothing.
Exactly.
Heaven forbid mom sent a racy photo.
I know, right?
Years of trauma.
You're going to hurt yourself, buddy. You better back up. But that's a beautiful example of and I think even the message of God chose me, you have to be able to hold the dichotomy of all of it. It's not just God chose me when I'm standing on the mountaintop and I feel great and everything's going my way. It's the difficult things. It's both of those. And so that's a tension that is real, but it's also a source of security in that.
I love that. When people get this, Laura, that's not helpful. You can't come unannounced.
What?
Let me just
wait.
As you watch this at home, we're doing our best to put on a professional thing here.
Excellent experience.
I asked Laura. I said, "Get her out of the shot." For those of you that are only listening, if you're on audio right now, what you're not seeing is my wife, who is not involved today. Other than I just said, tell me the score minutes ago.
Yeah.
And she's waving a handwritten sign.
That no one can, with a fine print marker she found. Who knows where she got this fine marker?
For those that question how we've been through some troubling times in our marriage, now you're starting to see the truth. A lot of the narrative has been about what kind of guy I've been. And she's still going.
Window.
Okay, golly.
We're real famous.
Our $1 million studio is coming back to bite us right now.
Hilarious.
When people get this book, what are they getting? This is a great question because you fish out authors that write for money and authors that write because of passion with a question like that. But if you could talk to someone who is in a spot where they could use something, and they're open. Yeah. What is this book?
Yeah.
What are they getting?
What I know from the spirit in which I wrote it, the way I poured into it, and from a few people that I've got some advanced copies and gotten to give it to people, there are 4 things that have stuck out that people have said and that my heart was in this. The first 2 things are hope and healing. The first one is the opening of this book is from the darkest place in my life. It is 2020. I was struggling with mental stuff and where I was and all these things. So there's an honesty in the book that provides a hope that people can relate to. Yeah. And I think will be healing for some people to realize I'm not alone. The next 2 things are courage and confidence. And, it's funny, I was talking to somebody about these 2 words and they're like, courage and confidence, aren't those the same thing? And I was like, oh, absolutely not. Courage is I'm stepping up even in the midst of being afraid. Yeah. Confidence is I'm sure of what's going on. I was looking at through the context I was talking to them about the Bible. I said courage is Peter stepping out of the boat. Confidence is David with his sling. So courage is a faith step. I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm going to step out and do it. Confidence is, I've been doing this. I've been practicing. God is with me. And I think a lot of people, even specifically Christians, they've lost their courage and their confidence. Life, experience, fear, whatever it is, has stolen that. Yeah. And I know that's how we're called to live. That's what this, this the way I'm wired is if we're going to do this, we got to go. I can't do the half in, half out. Either this is the thing that overthrew the Roman government and turned the world upside down, or let's just go make clothes and like, you know what I'm saying? And so for me, because I've found such a passion in it, it's like I know so many friends of mine. I wrote this with my friends in mind that have lost hope. They feel like, oh man, I've made too many mistakes or I've done too much and God can't use me. And that's what I know. Hope and healing and courage and confidence for sure.
When you are in a position like you're in, it's an easy excuse to make because it's as a listener or a potential person who wants to invest in anything you're going to do right now. It's like, well, it's easy for that guy. He's really cool. He's got all the stuff, you know, and what would he know about lacking confidence? Yeah. And unfortunately, what people fail to realize is nobody sees themselves as they are. It's pretty common. Yeah. And it's why you can meet with somebody who has got body dysmorphia. Yeah. Where someone's beautiful or super handsome. And if you really ask them, they're like, you know, I should never eat another Snicker bar in my life. You're like, you need a Snicker factory, bro. Yes. in that way, I like, you know, even telling my kids, because they love you like a hero. And I'm able to use, Charles dealt with stuff too. And they're like, Charles? I'm like, even your beloved Pastor Charles doesn't have it all together all the freaking time. Yeah. You know, it's like once you reach that place as a dad where they no longer even consider you as an example, thank God for people they respect other than you. But can you talk about a time where it hadn't always been that way? Like confidence to me is something, it's like a meter. It's like a parking meter. Yeah. And if I choose to feed that sucker, I can park all day long. Yeah. But if I don't, you know, it runs out. And that's how I frame it. So every day I'm like, how's my confidence meter? Am I feeding it? That's really good. You got a time in your life where you can look back and say, can't believe I made it out of that. Yeah.
Well, I think for anybody who's listening, a question to consider for this would be, what is your source of confidence? And for me, as I look back over my life, I've had different things that weren't bad things. They just weren't things that could last over a long period of time. So for seasons of my life, what I did was my source of confidence and how good I was at it. So whether it was playing a sport or even being a pastor, if I preach really good, my confidence is high. If I feel like it was bad, what type of dad I was. And I think I said it, but I opened up the book with that. But 2020 was a point where I realized all the things I had built my confidence on, it didn't matter at this point, because all the things that I did to prove how good I was, the preaching I did, leading people seeing my gift, all of that was taken away. And so it was like, all right, so are you still good? Like, if you can't do that, if you can't speak, and that's where I realized, I don't think I know who I am without these things, without what I'm doing, without my job, without people knowing who I am. And that was, it led me to the darkest place of depression, having panic attacks, anxiety, to where I couldn't reconcile, I don't know what I'm going to do. And at that moment was when it was either I'm going to double down on this or I'm just going to release the responsibility. And I think, we've talked about this. There's one thing over probably the past year of my life, the biggest thing that has been transformative, I was thinking about it on the way here, has been honesty and responsibility. And that has been, and to me, what I realized I was struggling with in that moment was honesty and responsibility. It was, am I going to be honest about where I am and what I feel like I don't have? Or am I going to lie and be like, no, I'm good, I'm fine. And am I going to take responsibility for where I am? Like, am I going to be like, no, I'm going to move forward? And I think that moment, it's April 27th, 2020, was a moment specifically where I wrote in my journal, like, I don't know if I can do this any longer. I don't know if I want to go forward. That moment was the changing moment where it began. It was still difficult, had many more panic attacks. Like, it wasn't just say, oh, God met me and changed. But that was a moment that those things started to turn around.
What do you do currently when you're faced with the moments where you're not confident? You do feel that anxiety pop up, and you do feel like you're overwhelmed. Is there something you do that if you had to distill it all down, you're like, this one here? Yeah. Because I got a lot of cool ideas that I'm still giving sample size time to. There's other stuff that I do that I'm like, I am religious about it. I'm like, some of that stuff's luxury. Some of that stuff is an absolute necessity. By the way, do you have that? Do you know in your life what is a non-negotiable that you have to have for your soul to be healthy. It's worth considering, because if you don't know, it's going to be tough to be able to patch up a day that doesn't make sense. But I know for sure, if my day produces stuff that I don't love, I can typically trace it back to one of my non-negotiables that I negotiated. It's like, this has to happen in my life, and I'm going to get around to it when I can. And then you have to deal with the fruit of that. But what would be one of yours that you know for the listener today that is, needs a direct tool? What works for you?
I think mine is it's the first 45 minutes to 90 minutes of my day. Who gets that? Who determines it? And who directs it? That's the big thing. The directing of my day in the first 45 to 90 minutes is where my day it's a make or break. And that is either in the times when the practice that's set there is I wake up, I go make my cappuccino, I haven't looked at my phone, I sit down, I go through my confessions and my mindset of like, this is who I am, this is what Charles does, type of man I am. I'm a clear, calculated genius who's happy. Like I go through those things every single day, and then I decide, and really it's the directing part of my day. How's my day going to go today? I'm going to I have these meetings to go through. When these kids come up, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to be this type of husband for Abby. The days where it goes crazy is I didn't direct my day. My phone directed it. Jade, who woke up at 3 a.m, would direct. Like it is. I put and this is where the responsibility comes into it. There are days where I give my day away. I give it to my daughter's mood. I give it to my wife's mood. I give it to, and we've had this conversation of like me learning the ebb and flow of like, okay, I got to recommit to like, because I feel like I fell off and I got to recommit to directing my day. But that, you said something to me. We were having a conversation. It was a quote I think you heard, but everyone is experiencing life exactly the way they want it to be. And that's one of those quotes where you're like, that's a lie. Like you immediately reject it. And then it's like, okay, wait, let me. And now, even on a bad day, there's a level of honesty that it's like, oh, it's bad because I didn't direct it. Like, so it's almost an empowering thing. And then I realize, oh, but from here I can. So I can direct it from this boat. So whether I'm driving home and I feel like, dang, today has been out of control, and our meetings didn't go how I wanted to, I still have a moment to decide when I walk in this house, if these kids are running around and my wife's overwhelmed, I'm going to direct this day. And then it goes back to the reminder, hey, God chose me to be the father of these kids, to be the husband to this woman, and to be the friend to Carl, to be the pastor to these people. And so what am I going to do? And that's the one.
That's beautiful. Lights On is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's okay to struggle. Real strength comes from opening up about what you're carrying and doing something about it, so you can be at your best for yourself and for the people in your life that you love. Therapy is not just about trauma. It's about learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries in your life that create new freedom. With over 35,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people. And it works too, with an App Store rating of 4.9 based on over 1.7 million client reviews. And it's convenient. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, you can switch therapy and therapists at any time. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a variety of expertise. So talk it out with BetterHelp. So our listeners get 10% off of their first month at BetterHelp.com/lightson. That's BetterHelp.com/lightson. A good check. I wonder if you take an inventory of your day. I like this frame, which is, are you attacking your day or is your day attacking you? There's nothing worse than feeling like the whole world's after me. There's a different posture that you can create in your life where it's like, I'm gonna go get this day. And the way you, now when something comes at you, I was already coming at you. I was already ready for this. It's like when you go to something and you're over prepared. Nothing better. Like I went to the DMV the other day. I had fingerprints, birth certificates, 19 bills that had our address on it, and I'm ready. There's nothing, and you go there. You carry that. There's no anxiety. There's 100%. Nothing they could say that whatever. And then they ask for one little thing. You're like, you don't want You don't want my my birth records from Williamsburg, Virginia, because I have them.
I do have those.
There's a way to enter life like that.
Yeah.
Where I am, this day is not happening to me. I'm happening to this day. Yeah. This day is about to get confronted by somebody so full of faith and passion and courage and confidence that I can't control what's always going to happen to me, but I am dialed. I can't control what comes through me. That's somebody that's making a difference. And that's kind of what you're pointing to with this. When we talk about God chose me, what I love to point to, and it's not my book, but I use it like it is. God chose me so I can choose what I love. Because sometimes people will make this weird link of like, God has chosen me to do this. And they put the emphasis on the this. Here's my contention with that. This is changeable. And I look at your life, you could have been a bunch of things. You've chosen to do ministry. You could have been, you and Justin Bieber, the two most annoying people I've ever known in my life, because whatever you do, you become real good at it. It's not funny. Like, I'm going to do a sweatshirt. Oh, it's great. Let's play hockey. I'm a pro. I'm going to cycle. I remember when you started. First of all, I can't stand cyclists. But now I've learned to love and respect them because of you. So before you started cycling, I would, let me get way over on the shoulder so you can pedal your bike and all your cool gear. You can't find another road. Me and everybody else trying to go somewhere, we all get to go around you. But now that I know you, I'm like, could be Charles.
It could be Charles.
Let me give them their space.
Let me give their space. Hey, brother.
It's the power of knowing somebody and something. So on behalf of, I respect cyclers. I see it in a new light. You won't catch me on one. No, sir. Unless that thing has a button that makes the pedals go, I'm good. But whatever you do, you're good at it. And so there's a lot of pastors who, they're not really going to be able to expand their gifting outside of that one lane. That's fine. But you chose ministry. Can you speak to a little bit of, and of course, I feel like God can anoint us to do certain things without a doubt. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, 100%. But I push back on people who put so much emphasis on what they do. Can you talk about that a little bit with this 100%. Book as well?
Yes. I think for me, I've had to learn the difference between the vehicle on the journey and the destination. And for me, ministry, pastoring is the vehicle that God has put me in this season, but it's not the destination. It's not the whole thing. The destination is the Charles who knows that he's chosen, that his confidence is going to make a difference wherever you put me. So if you put me on a bike in a Peloton full of 50 dudes, if you put me in a fashion room talking about a hoodie, or if you put me on a stage, or if you put me on a podcast, I know I'm going to show up with a confidence. I'm going to encourage people. I'm going to make people laugh, because that's what God made me to do. The avenue he puts me in is a beautiful tool belt. And that's, I think, a difference. One thing I think, even in church culture, sometimes it can be glorified of like, oh, this is the thing, and this is my life, and this is what I'm going to do. And it's beautiful. I love ministry, and I love preaching the Bible. And I feel like there's also a lot of other stuff I love. And I think to view whatever season you're in as a tool God's equipped you with, rather than the whole workshop, is just a beautiful frame to realize, like, wow, ministry has given me so many tools. And there are certain avenues and rooms I'm in where friends don't care I'm a pastor. And so if I find my whole being and identity in that, it's not able to serve me in that other thing. I think there's one statement I say in the book is be both. And I go through this list of like, if you're a mom and a killer businesswoman, be both. I love that. I don't know who told you, like, if you are our friend, Pastor Mike, if you're a pastor and a music producer, be both. Be both. Like, if you are, and I think there's so much notion that it's like, oh, I gotta pick. Even when you go through school, it's like, where do you want to go to college? What's your degree? And it's all to try to narrow you, versus a life with God widens your horizons. A life with him is like, yo, what all can we do? And who all can I become? And so I think that's the beautiful thing, is God chose me. So you put me in whatever facet, and I'm going to do what he called me to do. And
I love that. I relate to it in a lot of ways. I went through a season where this that I had known so well was gone. And one of the positives of that was that for both Laura and myself, through a lot of hard tragedy, even trauma for her and for me in some ways, my family. It was hard, but one thing we never doubted was our calling. So people ask that all the time, like, did it shake you up? I'm like, it really didn't, because I, believe it or not, I believed what I preached, which was, you are not always represented by what you do. Who you are is not always attached to what you do. Who you are is who you are. And so we are, there's a way to put it, like, purpose is fixed, calling flexible. Our purpose as a couple, as my purpose as a man, is to bring light to people, to lift their eyes, to show them who I believe Jesus to be. Purpose. I can do that from a pulpit. I can do it from behind a chair. I can do it from a podcast. I can do it from a restaurant. I can do it from the sidelines at a game. And I think that's something to free people up, because if you're so caught up in there, when I get to do that, I'm going to, you already missed it. Right now, as you stand, wherever you hear this or even digest something like this thought represents, you're in the middle of your purpose. Whether you've activated it or not. But that's what I love about this book, because God chose me, which means I got a lot of options.
100%.
We make it so narrow. God chose me, I'm going to be a priest. It's okay, cool. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. What I'm saying is, if our brains immediately go to a very narrow thing, and I think it's the opposite. Like, God chose me,
100%.
which means wherever I go, let me see what I can do here.
100%. Well, I think there's a verse in the Bible, it's the Message paraphrase, but he says that Jesus came to give us a new way to be human. And I think his entrance was such a bigger horizon that it's easier to make it smaller because we want to know exactly where we're going. But I just think to wake up with that spirit, with God chose me, is to wake up and say, oh, what are we going to do today? Where is he going to take me today? How am I going to encourage someone today? If it happens to be through this one area that I really love, that would be great. And that's what I think would be awesome. But I also realize I'm going to be the same person at Whole Foods. And and that's the thing, I think that is a beautiful commitment to even inner growth and transformation, is when you become better and you become healthier and you become more honest and you become more content, then from there, everywhere that you engage becomes better. So you become a better father, a better pastor, versus I want to get really, really good at the thing and kind of separate that from me. And so that's
I like positioning purpose. Like, I think I would like to do this, but put me anywhere and I'm going to make a difference. I think that when it comes to spiritual terms, that seems to me like a valuable commodity.
It's really good.
And it's like, I think sometimes we narrow our own options by thinking we're being exact. No. I'm going to remain unemployed because God has called me to be a pastor. And someone's going to magically open up a door. 100%. So what you really mean is you've been unemployed for a very long time. Well, what if
100%.
You were productive and you're able to pastor from a different way? There's so many different, there's other people who are on the other side of that. Like, God called me to be a quarterback and nobody believed in me. So your life is now defined by this that you didn't get. And what I love about God chose me is, if you digest that message correctly, it's going to be hard for you to stay in the shadow of shame or in the prison of potential. Those two things, man, I don't feel like, feel like your book speaks directly to it. So the shadow of shame is, I'm not good enough. I missed the moment. God chose you. Prison of potential is, I got so much to do. I got so much. But you got to do something now. God chose. Active. So I love that you have written something that speaks to, I believe, where our culture is at. Not a lot of people in that middle, brother. It's like either here or here.
100%. Well, and I think I've had to navigate that even in the process of writing the book, and the tension of, it's funny too. Everybody assumes that because you were the person to write it, that you don't struggle with it. It's like, I think that's the reason. That's the reason he gave it.
Why
to me.
This book is good?
Why this book is good is because I was figuring it out, and I think you learning to embrace. It's both and. It is, and I think that's a part of the message of God chose me. This is amazing, and I'm confident, and I still don't know what I'm doing, and I got some question, but that moves me to. So what am I going to do today? And I think that's where I found power in this message is, God chose me and I'm confident. God chose me and there's still stuff I don't know, but God chose me, so today I can. And that's a beautiful place to start from. Because he chose me, I can do this today. I can take the step. I think sometimes when I think of everything I have to do, it's overwhelming. But when I do what I know I can do, it's easy.
Yeah.
And that's the courage that I get when I think about this message is it's easy.
Your dad is black, your mom is white. You grow up in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And why that's extra special to me is because one of my college teammates who's gone on to eternity, his name's Anthony Grundy from Bowling Green. So when you told me that, I think you were shocked. I was like, I know Bowling
Yes.
Green. Yeah. So shout out to all the Grundys
Shout out to
out
BG.
there. That's my guy. But you grew up with a racially charged life. What impact did that have on you, and what's it produced in your life? So this light skinned dude who fits in everywhere but nowhere. I can't relate to it, but I wonder what has that done to your psyche?
Oh my gosh, 100%. So
because there's no more racism in America. So I mean that's past, but growing up in a world that was like that.
Yes, yeah. I think for me, now the term it would be coined as is imposter syndrome. But I think it created, you said it. At the black school, I played on a football team that was all black kids. I was the white kid. Or I went to a really private school where I was the fastest dude and I was the black kid. And so it made me feel like, okay, what do I have to do and how do I have to change to fit what you think I should be? So on certain teams, how I talked, how I acted was a certain way because I assumed that's what you wanted me and needed me to be. Yeah. And so it created, honestly, multiple different versions of Charles. So I would show up to youth group and it was like, oh, okay, here is where my dad's a pastor. Okay, yeah, I really do mess. And there were parts of me that loved parts of it. So I loved the Bible from a young, like I was a PK and I didn't have the screw church. I actually loved it and thought it was dope. And I thought my dad was cool. And so at church, I was that kid. And then on the football field, I was another kid. And then when I played basketball, I was another kid. And then I skateboarded and colored my fingernails with a Sharpie as a 12-year-old. So I was with the grungy art kids. And so it created all these different versions of myself. And where it led me to was the idea that there's no one who would accept all of me.
Ooh.
So when I show up, my first thought is, who do you think I am? Let me make sure I'm that person. And that's why this message is so raw to me, is because that's what the cover of the back of the book is. It's a bunch of different photos of me.
So cool.
And it represents this. God chooses all parts of you. So the part of you that it feels like you got this gift and that gift. And so that it created that as a kid, and it landed me at a place where I had to really realize and when I realized, God chose all of me, now it allows me to show up in all of those spaces.
Yeah, I love that. I like watching you find a lane to show people. Like there's a culturally known term would be code switch. And sometimes people use code switch. It always has a negative connotation to it. I don't always see it like that. I think some code switching is also called being respectful of people around you.
Yes.
the nefarious underbelly of it is when you're trying to fit in. And it's why I love our guy from Minnesota, Anthony Edwards. This brother. Boy.
Absolute dog.
It's like whether they want him to be the face of the NBA or not, they don't have a choice because he is. But this guy is not changing for anybody. He talks the same on his IG Live as he does with the NBA reporter. Sometimes you see guys, you're like, are you the same person? I think there's something to be said about getting clarity about who you want to be, standing on it. And isn't it interesting that in a life of you trying to figure it out, you have done what we teach people to do, which is take what is the negative, which is, I don't know, will people accept all of me? Well, what's the reverse of that thought? Because I'm so diverse, I can reach anyone.
Yes.
You've 100%. Lived there.
Yeah.
So I encourage people to take damaging thoughts that maybe have defined a lot of your life. What if the opposite's true?
Yep.
So you could have just ran with my whole life. I've been kind of in the middle.
Yep.
And it's made me well, you're like, because I've been in the middle my whole life, who can I not reach?
100%.
It's beautiful. I love that about your life.
Yeah. Well, it's a beautiful thing to realize that everything you go through that you could view as a weakness in the context of this thought becomes a strength. Yeah. So in the context of, I didn't fit in, I didn't feel like I belonged, I didn't feel good enough. When I realized God chose me, now that becomes a platform for, wow, if God could do this in me, I got to tell my friend that hey, you know me. I was talking to a friend the other night and he was like, man, this is crazy. We became youth pastors at 19 years old together, went through internships and all this stuff. And the knowing of where we both were was a beautiful thing. It was like amazing. I can't believe we're here. And so, I just realized in real time, it's a fun way to take the worst thing that's happened to you and then attach, like erase where the period might have been and put in because God chose me off the back of the worst thing that ever happened to you. And you tell me what the rest of the sentence should be. I had a platform that I loved, made mistakes that cost me dearly, hurt a lot of people that I loved, hurt myself. And because God chose me, I have to now rise from these ashes I created, take some ground, and tell people I'm still alive. Like, so that's so good.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
Take whatever it is that is
good.
a dominant anchor and change the sentence. I've never had a dream that has come to fruition. And because God chose me, I got another one. Yeah. And I'm going to give it a shot.
Absolutely.
It's freaking powerful, bro. Absolutely. Like it's just, and if, whether your relationship with God is solidified or not, give that a shot. Because if it feels resonant in your soul, might be a good idea to circle the God part of that and just start to dig it out a little bit. But I point people to this already who are not, me and you are Jesus followers. Whether you follow Jesus or not, it's a concept you need to start kicking around. Absolutely. Because, okay, I don't believe y'all. Cool. What do you believe? Who did you? Who chose you? The universe?
Yeah.
Cool. Walk that out for me too. Because the universe chose you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So wherever, but find out, because that to me, there's a lot of power in that.
It's so funny. It reminds me, me and you, the story of how I got to the tagline of the book is untouchable confidence.
I remember. Yes.
Untouchable confidence for the unstoppable Christian. And we're having a conversation after playing basketball, and you're kind of like, yo, first of all, you just realized I have no official, I'm just like a wild Mustang on the basketball court. Nobody's ever showed me really, so I'm just off one leg, falling backwards.
So you're the epitome of a street hooper. Where it's like, when you were younger, you get away with murder. Because it's like, I'm just more athletic than you.
100%.
And as you get older, you're like, brother, you better get a bag. It's still working. But it's a matter of time before you used to explode by people. Now it's like
literally, that has slowly happened to my shot. But I think, to me, I remember that night, and I remember we were talking, and I was like, that feeling when you just start hitting shots, and it's just like, man, what can I not do? I remember coming home to Abby, and it was funny because I was on the deadline of my book, and I had written the whole book, but I didn't have the tagline yet. And I realized what I was trying to transfer into people and spark in people was that feeling. Like just the wake up, like I could go off 1 foot right now. Like I could drive past you. I could step back. And I think for me, that's what gets me excited when I think about people reading this book is imagine you with confidence that is untouchable. What would the you do if you woke up knowing God's with me today, and there's nothing I'm going to do today that he's not going to empower me to do? What would the you do who believed like what God has put in me cannot be stopped by anything? That thought it's the idea of just being on your front foot rather than your back foot.
And immediately, I am a contrarian by trade. So I like to flip over to the other side. I was talking to somebody who was struggling with this concept of like, all right. If God chose me, let's say God chose me, why then did he put me in that family where I was abused? And I said, I'm going to give you the best answer you're going to hear on this. Lord knows I don't know. What if we just hung out on the first part though? And sometimes that has gotten me through a lot of hard moments because I don't need somebody to try to rationalize or break down something that I have yet to understand. With your earthly wisdom, I appreciate it. But if it's true, if God chose me, and I realized in my journey, that's been a bedrock of my faith. That was a no-brainer for me. I'm like, well, for me to even know God, he has to choose me because I have nothing to offer.
100%.
So that was always an easy thing for my faith because I was like, I know God loves me because otherwise I'm on. So some people struggle with that. It's worth, people looking into there going like, if you don't believe that, got to go back to the ground floor here.
100%.
And if it is true, if the God that you and I profess to serve, if he chooses people out of love, It's a different lease on life.
It's a dangerous thought. And I think
because people can unchoose you, Charles.
Yes.
But God I've been through that. You will never go through that.
Yeah.
Thank God. But to go through a thing where you can see people like unchecking you, unfollowing you as in real time, not like on a profile. I will no longer.
Yeah.
And you can almost start to go down this hill of like, but the one person who you're in trouble.
Yeah.
If he were to unfollow you, he's committed to never doing that.
Dang. That's beautiful, bro. That's beautiful.
Didn't see that one coming.
I saw it slowly welling.
Yeah, I'm like, damn. I don't do that anymore often, but that's real.
Well, I think there's a part of I think it's one of the chapters that says he knows me and he still chose me.
Yeah.
And that's the part that I think one of the things I say is when usually our choice of people is complicated by our knowledge of them. So if I know you're not consistent, if I know you're not committed, then it makes it hard for me to choose you to do something.
Yeah.
But the fact that God knows all that, he knows I'm inconsistent.
Still chose me.
And he still is like, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the part where it just is, it's.
Because we use our earthly filter when it talks about with choosing people. Like you choose somebody and you're like, dang it. I chose you to play with me because I thought you were going to be able to grab a rebound, which is, but you're just 6'6" and you're just terrible.
You just never.
I will never choose you again.
Yeah.
It's the reverse.
100%.
The heavenly dynamic is like, you will not score.
Yeah.
You have no talent and I'm going to make you a star. Watch what I can do. It's like, if that's the premise of our faith,
100%.
why would anybody not look into
beautiful.
this? Where have we gotten to in the world where people are hesitant to approach God? Because of what they've done.
100%.
My brother, the whole thing is based on that.
100%.
We know.
100%.
Bring on that. That's the beauty of the gospel.
Yeah.
It's the grace that covers that stuff. So to me, it's just, even talking about your book, it breathes life. It breathes hope. And I know that's going to be the story as people consume this. And you know, what have you been learning? God chose you to be Abby Metcalf's guy.
Yes.
What are you learning on the marriage front?
Man.
And just to give if you're listening to this, my friend has amazing kids. He's got 87 of them. And they were all born within the same 3-year period. It's a miracle.
Math is beautiful.
But the way that y'all are, me and Laura see a lot of our life in you, in that we've walked similar journeys. And I remember what it's like to be carrying weight of leadership, marriage, kids.
Yeah.
And it's enough to drive a brother to the bottle.
It's enough to. Hey.
Oh, Laura's back.
No, yeah.
That's the first thing she's amen. Amen, the bottle.
Amen.
Get out of here. And you're doing it the best you know how.
Yeah.
And what are you learning? Because there's a lot of people, if you're listening and you're trying to juggle life, marriage, you know, any scope, what he says next might matter. But what are you learning about marriage? What's helpful right now?
Yeah. The thing that I just thought of was realizing that the greatest fight in our marriage is the fight for our friendship. And there's something special about, when I remember when me and Abby first met and just the friendship, like it's different realizing like, oh, I'm married to my wife, but like when we're in the friend mode of we're just spending time together, we're playing cards, we're laughing. I think kids' responsibility, the first thing it attacks in us is friendship. It takes out the friendship, the fun, the laughing, and it all becomes, okay, we got the kids thing, and then when are you going to go? And then when am I got to go do this thing? Like, the first thing that goes is just like making fun of each other and poking at each other. The first thing that goes is, what do you want to watch? The first thing that goes is, and I think for me, it's been the fight to remind myself, like, this is my friend. This is like who I chose to grow up with and grow old with and argue with and love. And for us, that's been the beauty. And we fought for the friendship by communicating with honesty. And so the thing we've had to learn is being honest about what we need, being honest about part of this journey with the book has been, and I've said that to you, but learning what real honesty is. And when I mean that, not in the way of truth or lies, but being honest with yourself and your thoughts. And I think for me in this journey has been being honest with her of like, hey, I need you to tell me this book is good. I need you to tell me, like, totally. I need to know, because I'm working on this and I don't know. And but some of those things have been that's what the fight has been for.
Bro, that's beautiful. And I was laughing. We were watching this. There's a really honest show on TV, and I won't point to it because they're not involved financially with the pod. And so you get no free love. But there's this moment where he was like, hey, I need you to validate me right now. And the person was like, and I was like, oh, I love that. Because there's so much room in a healthy relationship to be needy in the best 100%. Way. It's when you're needy and you try to act like you're not as draining, but when you're needy and you're honest, it becomes very endearing. And I think for you to point to friendship is wise beyond your years, because Laura and I are 20 plus years married, highs, lows, valleys, everything in between. And what we realized is typically people try to jam the friendship part in there. We flipped all that. We're going to try to jam the rest in there. So if your primary mode as a couple, we do family. We're family. Family, business, providing, and then romance and friendship. It's a lot of fun to flip it and go, we're going to have fun. We're going to be best friends. We're going to be very romantic. If we get around to these grubby kids, so freaking be it. You know what happens? You get around to the kids better. You get around to them more. So if you flip it, so if you are passionate about your marriage and you want to breathe some new life into it, think about reversing your schedule.
Great.
So if the marital pyramid for you is like, we are a married couple, we provide for our family, we lead a godly household, we spend time with the kids, and we also have a date night. I'm proposing a big flip of we're friends first, we have fun, we connect with each other, and then when we're able, we talk about business, and then we lead our family, and so be it. Just give it a shot. Tell me what the results are. And for us, it's been explosively fun, because my wife is ridiculous. She's ridiculous. But that's what comes out of a spouse that feels safe.
Yes.
And if you're married to someone who's miserable to be around, I'm not saying it's your fault. But I'm saying it's probably your fault.
But
because you reflect those around you the most. So it's not that it's your fault. Let me hedge with that a little bit and say you have more to do with it than you think you do. I talked to an amazing husband the other day. I just said, brother, I'm not saying there's not fault on both sides. But I am saying we become like those that we hang around. So if that's true, and it is, what does that say about our marriages? That's great. When I see, Laura, feeling a certain way, my first check is not to point at hers and go, let me just see, because it might be on her. I hope it is. But let me see if
just to be safe.
Let me see if I've contributed this before I get to point a judgmental finger, which I love.
To
be able to this is on you, girl. Dang it, I didn't do the 5 things I know I need to do to make her feel the way that she is asked to be treated and feel. It's just a lot of power in that. So,
well, I think this season for me has been learning so much and being aware of what posture I'm in and what is affecting that posture. So posture of being leaned in or leaned out, a posture of being open or closed off. And I think there are so many things that I just would default to and not even check, like thoughts that would come in, mindsets, ideology, like all these different things where it's just like, oh, I'm just kind of living to the default of my own whatever, versus like, okay. And for me and Abby, it's like, oh, when we wake up and we decide, hey, I married you before any of these kids were here. So if they go crazy, we're going to come back here, we're going to lock this door, and we'll see the kids in an hour. Or what? But like when we get in that joking, loving this place, and that's our posture, when you walk out and the kids have dug through the ground to China, and you're like, we're trying to sell the house, why did you dig a hole in the ground? Instead of that sending my day, it's like, oh, wow. At least I'm here with my best friend experiencing this funny moment.
And it helps you get through. I'm laughing because we just sold a house. We're in a different house. And the damage in these rooms with these children that pay no rent, astronomical. And so recently when my kids were like, Dad, can I have this? I was like, no. I've had to spend that extra money on the hole in your wall. So the answer is a hard no.
Hard no.
If you have a spouse that you're friends with, my gosh, does it feel better?
It does.
How can people get information about this book and you in general? Let them know.
CharlesMetcalf.com. That's everything. It's got the book, sermons. I've done some cool conversations.
Do you point to Jesus on it? That guy, Where's Jesus in all this? God chose me stuff. It's the central. He is God.
Hilarious. Yeah, got charlesmetcalf.com. That has everything on there. You can order the book from there, sermons. I've done a couple conversations with one conversation that's coming was really cool. Me and my little brother talked about the creative process, so that's super fun. But yeah, charlesmetcalf.com.
Yeah, if you're looking to follow somebody that will always lift up your soul and give you something that matters, Charles is a worthy follow and a worthy check. So I'm really grateful. I'm proud of you as a friend. It's hard to write a book. People have no idea. And I told you when you said you're going to do this, I said, let me tell you something, brother. I know I'm the old OG here in this situation, but trust me, shore up your stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's something powerful about getting a book out.
Yeah.
And God knows it, and also the enemy knows it.
Yep.
And your life is about to be tested in every area. And you're like, I got you, bro. God chose me. I'm like, oh, word? Yeah? Okay. Yeah,
6 weeks later, I'm like, hey man, you got any water over there?
Thank you for persevering to do it. Thank you for putting your passion into it. And you're just an exceptional human being. And I can't wait to see what this book does. So God chose me. Check it out. Until the third visit on Lights On.
Yes, sir.
My man, I love you.
I love you.
We love you. Thanks for checking this out. Lights On. We'll see you next time.